This conference will now be recorded.
And guys, let us start the session. Let me go and open the course content. Fine. Now in today's session, we'll start discussing about the patch function, guys. One of the most important function, the patch. We'll use it in multiple scenarios. So what is this patch function? When to use it? And how we are going to work with this patch function? We'll discuss now in today's session. So now, in order to go and discuss it, let me go and open my notepad. And let me keep here. Today's topic, we're going to discuss about the patch function. Fine. Now try to understand, guys. What is the functionality? What is this patch function? What's the definition of it? Let me keep here. First, let me keep the definition. Patch function is used to patch function is used to create a new record, create a new record, or or to modify an existing record, an existing record. Just 1 second, online people. 1 second. Fine. Sorry for the disturbance. Now see what I'm telling here is patch function is used to create a record or modify an existing record in the data sources. So this patch function mainly it is used to create a new record. Creating the record means inserting the records to the data sources, or if you want to modify an existing record, you need to go and use this patch function. So let me give one scenario where we can go and use this patch function, I guess. Now see, in order to go and create the new records in the data sources, in order to go and create the new records in the data sources, previously we are using one of the control in the Power Apps. What's that control we are using in order to go and create a new record into the data sources? By using which control we can submit the data to the data sources?
Edit form.
Forms. The help of forms, we are able to enter some data in the forms. We're able to enter some data into the forms, and by clicking on one button, submit button, whatever the data we are entering into the forms, we are going to submit that data to where? We are going to submit that data to the data sources. Now see, by using the forms we can submit the data, we can create a record in the data source. With the help of patch also, I'm telling that we are able to create the records in the data sources. Then what is the difference between this? When we need to go and use the patch, when we need to go and use the forms. Now see, if you go and use the form to create a record in the data source, the form will have one predefined structure, guys. If you go and see in the forms, you are not able to design the form by your own. If you want to design the form by your own, you need to put some lot of efforts. And also, let us say if there is a form, In this form, either you can keep only one field for one row, or you can keep two fields per a row, or three fields. You need to select the number of columns you want to keep in the form. Let us say I'm keeping two columns. These are columns. This is one column, this is one column. But let us say in between I want to keep three columns here. In between in the form, first two rows I want to keep it as two columns. Next row I want to keep here three columns. It is possible to design the forms in this way. If you use the form means, no, forms will have some predefined structure. We need to use it, but we are not able to modify by our own. But here my requirement here is I want to create a form like structure. Now in the first two rows I want to keep only two fields. In the third row I want to keep the three fields. Like this, if you want to define the structure means, it is not possible to go and work with the forms will have some predefined columns and rows. You need to go and follow it. But if you want to design in such a way, next row I want to keep only one row, next I want to keep two rows, two columns I want to keep here. Like this, it is possible to design the form. It is possible to design in this way with the help of forms means, no, it is not possible. If you want to design a form like structure in this way, instead of going and using the forms, you can go and use the patch function. By using patch, you can create a new record in the data source. With the help of forms also, you can go and create a new record in the data source. If you go with the forms, there are some predefined form structures will be there. You need to go and use those only. If you want to design the form by your own, keeping two columns, three columns, only one column per row, it is not possible. In this case, if you want to design the controls in a form mode, then in this case you can go and use the patch. And also, whenever if you want to modify the records, modify an existing record, to modify the records also we can go and use the forms. To modify the existing record, we can use which form? Edit form. Edit forms are used to modify the existing record. You can go and use the edit form also. With the help of edit form, how many records you can update? Only one record you can update. Only one employee details you can update here. But let us say if you want to update multiple employee details, or if you want to submit multiple records to the data sources, it is not possible with the forms case. If you want to update multiple employee details at a time, edit form is not helpful. Edit form is used to update only one employee details. But here my requirement is, let us say I want to update more than one employee details. Three employee details I want to update in one go. How to update means, edit form is not possible. Edit form is used to update only single employee details at a time. If you want to modify or if you want to update multiple employee details, then go and use the patch. So almost the functionalities will be same, but the way you are going to write the functions is different. So somewhat interrelated. So these are the problems we are having with the forms. So to overcome these problems, if you want to go and design the controls, form like controls in you by your own, go and use the patch. And also if you want to modify multiple records at a time, then go and use this patch function. So that's why patch function will play a major role in the real-time scenarios. Whenever if you want to update or modify or delete multiple records at a time, then guess we can go and use the form. By using edit form, you can update. By using delete button also, you can delete the data, but how many? At a time, only one record you can update or one record you can delete. But if you want to update multiple or if you want to modify multiple records, it is not possible with the forms. You need to go on with what? Patch. So in which scenarios you can go and use the patch function means, this is the scenarios. And next one is, let me keep here one more point. Whatever I explained now, let me keep here one more point. Patch function is used instead of submit form. Instead of going and using the submit form, you can go and use what? You can go and use the patch function. See, submit form is for what? There is one function called submit form. Submit form is used to submit the data to the data sources. Instead of going and using the submit form, you can go and use the patch function. If you use the patch, you are able to submit the data to the data sources. That means creating the new records. So instead of going and using the submit forms, in order to go and create a new record in the data sources, go and use the patch function. How to submit the data to the data sources? With the patch function, instead of going and using the submit button. How to create a form like structure with the help of patch? we'll be discussing in today's session. And one more point, and one more point, by default, how many records you can create or modify with the help of patch function means by default you can create or modify only one single record with the help of patch. Let me keep that point here. By default, by default, by default, using patch function, using patch function, we can create or modify only one single record, guys. Only one single record. By using this patch function, by default, how many records you can create, how many records you can modify means only one record you can create, only one record you can modify. How to insert multiple records, how to modify multiple records will be understand, we'll discuss. But for now, keep in mind, by default using patch function, we are able to create only one record and you are able to modify one single record at a time. How to modify multiple records, we'll discuss. So this is all about what is meant by patch function, guys. Now see, I said that this patch function is used for what operations? Create a new record to the data source or modify an existing record in the data source. First, let me go and discuss about how to create a new record in the data source, and then I will discuss how to modify an existing record in the data sources. First, let me go and discuss how to create a new record in the data source with the help of patch function. Let me keep here. Create a new record using patch. How to create a new record into the data sources using patch function, we'll discuss now. And then later I will discuss about how to modify an existing record. Now see here guys, in order to go and create a new record into the data source with the help of patch function, along with the patch function, you need to go and use one more function to create a record. That function is default function, guys. Defaults is the function which we need to make use of to create a new record into the data sources with the help of patch. With the help of patch, if you want to create a new record into the data source, if you want to create a new record to the data source using patch function, along with the patch function, you need to go and use one more function, that is default function. So by using these two functions, patch function along with the default, you can go and create a new record. First, let me discuss about how to create a new record into the data source using patch, and then I will discuss how to modify an existing record in the data source using this patch function. Now, in order to go and perform this, how to create a new record into the data sources using patch, let me go and open the Power Apps. Let me go and open the Power Apps. Before going to create an app, first let me go to the SharePoint. In the SharePoint, there is one site I created. There is one site I created for this patch. So here I created one new site, guys. Already you know that how to create the sites. So I don't want to waste much time. I already created one site, patch. Go to the patch site. This is the site. Patch is the site I'm creating to work with the patch function. Now in this site, there is one list. What's the list I created means? Students is the list I created. Go to the students list. Go to the students list. Select the list. Now in this list, there are some columns is there. Already I created a list, guys. What are the columns is there is student ID, student name, mobile number, email, hire date, that means joining date, course, which course the student is taking, who is the trainer, and what is the status of that course. So like this, I'm having some columns. If you want to see the schema, let me go. Let me open something. Let me go and copy the schema and let me paste it here, guys, to understand in a better manner. Go to the patch. Just copy the schema. This is the schema I created, or this is the list I created. This is the schema of the list. I created one list, right, students. For the students list, this is the schema I'm using. Students is the list, and this is the schema. In this list, what columns is there? Student ID, text data type, primary key column, student name is text, mobile number is number data type, email ID is a text, hire date is a date column, courses, trainer, and status, all these are the choices columns. This is the list I created, and this is the schema of that list. That's what I'm keeping here. Now I want to create a new record into this list. I want to create a new record into the list by using the patch function. We discussed about how to create a record using the form, how to submit the record, or how to create a record in the SharePoint list with the help of forms. Now we are going to discuss about the patch function, how to use the patch to create a new record in the data sources. Now go to the, this is the schema I'm using as, this is the list I created. Now go to the Power Apps. Now go and create one new app, guys. I want to create a new app in order to go and work with the patch function. Let me go and create one new app. Let me keep here. Patch is the name I am keeping. Create the form. Fine. Let me rename it to patch screen. Fine. Let me add some text here. Let me add one header. Let me keep one header as a patch function. Go and add one text control. Keep it here. And increase the size. Keep it in the bold, align to center. Keep the color. Let me change the background color and keep the font color to white. Let me increase the width, font size, not width. Let me keep it as 24. And let me change the text. Let me keep here patch. Let me increase some size, 26. Fine, guys. This is the some header I'm keeping. Just I'm keeping some header. Next, in order to go and submit the data to the data sources with the help of patch function, first to my requirement queries, I want to create a form like structure with the help of the controls. With the help of these different controls, I need to go and create one structure, form like structure. So in order to go and create it, I'm going to add one text label. Keep the text label here. Keep the text label here. And then keep it in the bold. Keep it in the bold. And let me keep here. Let me keep some bottom. Keep it here. Let me change the text to. Let me change the text to student ID. Student ID. Let me increase some size. Fine. Let me keep it like this one itself. Just copy this one, paste it here, keep it in the same alignment, and change the name to text to student name. Copy the same thing, paste it here, and then change the text to what is another column. I think it is mobile number column. Mobile. Copy it, paste it here. Now what is another column? Email hire date. Email. Next one is copy the control, paste it here. Email hire date. Instead of hire date, better to call it as joining date. Fine. Let me keep it as hire date itself. Or let me do one thing. Let me keep it as joining date. Let me keep it as joining date. Copy the same control, paste it here. Next, keep the name, change the name to course, which course the student is taking. Copy the same control, paste it here. Next, change the title to trainer. Next, copy the same control, paste, and then keep here status. These are some of the controls I'm creating. Just play it. Fine, it looks good. Now what I will do here is I will just reduce some size. Select all the controls. I'll keep the height to go to the height property. Currently, what is the height? 57. Let me keep it to 50. Reduce somewhat. Let me keep it 45. Let me keep it as 40. Fine. It looks good. Now let me align it properly. Let's just increase. Let move it to top. Keep this one also on the top. Fine. These are some texts, guys. Now I need to go and keep some input controls. So just go and add some input controls. To enter the student ID, I'm selecting the input control as text input. Keep it here. Keep it here. Exactly where it will locate. Keep it here. And change the hint. Let me remove the text input and keep the hint as student ID. Keep the hint as student ID. Let just 1 second, check it. Fine. Just copy the same, paste it here, keep it here. Now change the hint to student name. Copy the same thing, paste. Change the hint to mobile. Now copy, paste. Keep the hint as email. Copy, not copy. It is date, right? So I need to go and add one date control. Date picker. To enter the dates, there is one control called date picker. Just add it here. Go and keep the date control here in place of joining date. Just reduce some size. Fine. Next, go and add a drop down here. These are the choice columns, right? So I need to go and add some drop downs. Go to the insert control, select the drop down control, add the drop down here. Add the drop down control. Now copy the same control, paste, keep it in the trainer drop down, paste, keep it here in the status drop down. Now, once after creating this, I need to connect to the data source. Let me go and connect to my data source. Go to the data, add data. The data source I want to connect here is SharePoint is my data source. Connect to the SharePoint data source. What is my data source in the SharePoint? Site is, what is my site? Patch. It's loading, let it load. Now see here guys, by default is showing the site name is what? Patch. Go to the patch. There is one list called students. Just copy it. Before going to take from here, let me do one thing. Let me rename this hire date, guys. Let me rename this hire date to joining date. Joining date. Click on save. In place of hide date, better to go and keep it as join date. Now go to the share Power Apps, select the data source as a SharePoint, select the data source as a SharePoint, connect to the data source, site name is patch, connect to the list called students is the list, and click on connect. Now I'm connecting to my data source SharePoint and the list name is students. Now see here in the courses, I want to keep here the whatever the values that are available in the students list. If you go to the list for the courses, there are some choices will be there. If you go to the course column, if you go and click on edit, there are some choices: Power BI, SQL, Power Apps, Power Automate. So I want to display those values here in this course. So you want to go and display this, select the course, go to the property called default property, I think default property. Now see in the default property currently is showing the value as 1, just remove it. So I'm going to use one function here again, choices function. Choice, what is the data source? Students is the data source, comma, next, I think students dot, what's the column name? Courses. Course dot, courses is a choice column, right? So I'm going to keep here values. It's not displaying, comma, course dot value. Just 1 second, let me check. Students is the list. From this list I want to take what? Courses column. Dot value, it is a choice column. Still throwing error, just 1 second. I think let me remove it from here, keep it 1, go to the items property, let me check where we need to go and place it. I think in the defaults only, but why it is throwing an error I'm not able to understand. Choice, students is my data source, dot just 1 second, let me check where I am doing some mistake. I think it is in the default It is throwing an error.
Think the function name is choices or choice?
I think it is choices only. There is only one function, that is choices. Let me go to the items. Still the error is coming. Let me check. Now it is displaying, but it is a choice column. We need to pass it here as a dot value. Okay, anyway, maybe it is updated. Previously, when I'm working on it, it is taking as a choices dot value, courses dot value. Now I want to do it the remaining same thing. I want to perform the same thing for the remaining also. Let me go to the trainer, go to the items, remove here, go and use the choices. What is my data source? Students is my data source. Students is my data source. Students dot, what's the name? Column name? Trainer. Now it will display all the trainers here. Now in the status also, go to the status, go to the items property, choices, students is the list. What is the column name? Status. Fine. Now if you observe here, it is taking some values. The whatever the courses I'm having, I'm able to display the courses here. Whatever the trainers we are having, can display the trainers. Whatever the status it is, you can display the status here. Now, once after keeping this, I need to go and keep one button here to submit the records. Whatever the values I'm going to insert into this input controls, those records I need to go and submit to the SharePoint list. In order to go and submit, let me go and add one button. Let me go and add a button. Keep the button here. Also, let me do one thing. Let me keep all this somewhat on the top. Fine. Let me keep the button here, guys. Let me change the button name. You can call it as a submit button, or you can call it as whatever the name it is. For better understanding purpose, I'm keeping the name as patch. I'm keeping the name as patch. Now see, on select of this button, whenever I'm going to click on this button, on select of this button, whatever the data I'm going to enter into this controls, that data I want to go and submit to the SharePoint list. Now in order to go and submit the data to the SharePoint list, on select of this patch button, on select of this button, go to the on select property, go to the on select property. Here I'm going to write the function. I'm going to use the patch function in order to go and submit the data. Patch. Now, to which data source you want to submit? If you see, here it is asking us to pass the data source, patch function. Let me pass the data source as students. I want to submit the data to where? To the students list. Now keep comma. Now in the records property, I'm going to use the defaults function. I said that if you want to create a new record into the data sources, you need to go and use one function. What? Defaults function. Now I'm going to use the defaults function here. Defaults. Within the defaults also, it is asking us to pass the source name. What's the source? Let me keep here the source as students. Let me keep here the source as students. Now keep comma. Next, it is asking us to pass the update values. Now within the curly braces, open the curly braces and then close the curly braces and also close the patch function. Now here I need to go and write the syntax. What is my syntax here is, see whatever the columns I'm having in this, into these columns I want to submit the data. What data? Whatever the data I'm entering into this input controls. Now for this, the first column is what? The first column is what? Student ID. If you go and check in the data source, if you go to the site settings, what is the student ID is here? We are able to see the student ID is the column name, but when I click on it, in the back end it is the title column, guys. You know that whenever if you create any column, whenever if you create any list, by default will create one column. Even though I'm able to see the name as student ID, but in the back end is keeping the student name as title. Here you can see it. So let me go and pass here. Let me go and pass here. Let me go to the list now. Let me go to the students. Now go to the Power Apps. Now title I'm going to keep here. Title, what value I want to keep it here. In the title I want to enter whatever the values I'm going to enter into this control. So better experience purpose, go and rename this controls, guys. Let me keep it as, let me rename this to SID TXT, student ID text. Let me go and rename this one also to SName TXT. Go and rename this one also mobile TXT. Better to rename it mobile TXT. Next, email TXT. It is a text. Email text. Next, date. Let me keep here date txt. Next, courses. Let me keep here DRP drop down. DRP stands for drop down course. This drop down is for what? Courses. DRP course. Next, this one DRP trainer. Drop down for DRP for trainer. Next one is DRP for, that means drop down. DRP for what? For the status. Just better to go and rename the controls, case. Once after renaming all this, whatever the value I'm going to enter into this student ID, that value I want to keep it here. So go and copy this control name, go to this, keep it here dot txt. Now keep comma. The second column name is what? Student name. Second column is what? Student name. Now whatever the name I'm going to enter into this control, that name I want to keep it here. Just go and copy this control name, paste it here dot txt. Next, what is another column? Keep comma. Another column is what? I think it is mobile. Now whatever the value I'm going to enter into the mobile, that value I want to keep. Now copy the control name, go to the patch function. Now here mobile is what data type, guys? In the backend, if you see, mobile is a number data type. So whatever the value I'm going to enter here, it is a text data type. I'm going to enter here is a text. I want to convert it into values. So I'm going to use the value function here. Already we discussed the values function, which is used to convert the text values to numerical values. Next, what is another column? Email ID column. The another column is email ID. Now see, what is the email ID? Whatever the value I'm going to enter into this field, that value I want to keep it here. Copy, go to the patch dot txt. Now keep comma. Next, what is another column name? I think it is joining date. Yes, joining date. Now joining date, whatever the date I am going to enter into this field, whatever the data I'm going to select in the date picker, that value I want to store here, guys. So go to the date picker, copy the name date picker. Let me rename this. Let me rename it to date picker. Copy the name of this control, go to the patch function, pass here date picker dot selected date. Whatever the date I'm going to select, that date I want to keep here. Keep in mind, if the column data type is a date, then we need to pass this selected dot date, selected date. Now keep comma. Next, one more column is what? Course column. Another column is what? Course. Now whatever the value I'm going to enter into this courses, that value I want to display there. Select this control, copy the name of this control, and go to the patch function. Here, just to pass the control name. What's my control name? It is a drp dot courses, drp courses dot selected dot value. Whatever the value I'm going to select there, that value I want displayed here. Now see, here I'm going to select the value, select a value. So I'm going to mention before this curly braces, open the curly braces. I'm going to use one function called values, and then drp dot selected. Now close the curly braces here. Whenever if you are entering the choice column values, don't forget to keep it in the value. Whatever the value I'm going to select in this, that value I want to store it in the courses column. Next, keep comma. Next column is what? Trainer column. Now go to the trainer, copy the field name, drp trainer, go to the patch function, just copy and paste it here. Now before this, after this what? Selected dot value. Why? Because it is a choice column, so I'm passing here. I'm going to select one value. That value I want to keep it here. Before that, it is a choice column, right? So I'm going to use one function here, values function. Open the curly braces and close the curly braces here. Value dot selected. Close the curly braces. Now keep comma. Here we need to pass the drp trainer. Next, keep comma. Another one more column, status column. Status. Within the curly braces, value. Go and keep the drp status. drp status is the control dot selected dot value. Selected dot value. So like this, I'm going to keep some controls. Whatever the data I'm keeping in these controls, those controls data I want to submit to this columns. These columns are going to be representing where? These columns are going to be representing the students list. So this is a syntax which is I'm going to create here to submit the data to the data sources. Now go and save the app. Now go and play the app now. Now so I try to understand, guys. Student ID 101. Student name is Warner. Student mobile number. Let me pass some random mobile number. Student email ID warner@gmail.com. Next, joining date. Whatever the date it is, let us select any one of the date. Course, let me select the course as Power Apps, trainer as Winky, and status as in progress. Now click on the, once after entering the data, go and click on the patch button, guys. When I click on the patch button, what happens? It is a button. On this button, what I'm doing here, I'm going to patch this data. Whatever the data I'm entering into these fields, I'm going to patch that data to the students list into these columns. Now just go and save the app and go and click on the button called patch button. When I click on the patch button, if you go to the data source, now see, automatically that record is inserted here. That new, whatever the record I inserted just now, with the help of patch function, we are able to see it here. And now see here, guys, once after clicking on this patch button, still I'm able to display the values. I don't want to keep these values. Once after clicking on this patch button, once the data is submitted to the data source, I want to reset these controls. Now let me go and reset all the controls, guys. On the patch button itself, once after submitting the data to the data sources, let me reset what I want to reset. First control is what? Student id.txt. Second, another control is what? reset. What I want to reset? Student name dot txt. Next, reset. Go and reset all the controls. Reset. Next, what I want to reset? Mobile number. Next, what is the next another column I want to reset? Reset email. Email column. Next, what's another column I need to reset? Once after the email, joining date. Reset. What I want to reset? Reset joining. It's not representing here. It is date picker, I think. Not joining. The field name is date picker. Reset the date picker field. Next, what is another column we need to reset? Reset courses. DRP course, right? DRP course. I want to reset this control. Next, reset. Another value I need to reset. What is another value? DRP trainer. DRP trainer I want to reset. Next, what is another value I need to reset? I want to reset to status. DRP status. DRP status I want to reset. Like this, once after submitting to the data source with the help of patch function, next go and reset all the controls. Now go and save the app. Now see here guys, let me go to the data source. Let me remove this record. Let me remove this record. Click on delete. Now I don't have any data. Go to the app now. Now see here, once if I click on the patch button, the data is submitted, and now see all the controls are resetted. All the controls are resetted. This choices is not resetting. How to reset the choice? Already discussed it. You can go and reset it. Resetting means select this control, go to here, and there is some property called allow empty. Currently it is false. Let me go and make it as true. Go and make it as true. Here also go and select this allow empty values. Currently it is false. Make it as true. Here also let me go and select this allow empty values. Currently it is false. I want to allow empty values. Go and make it as true. Now go and play. Once if I click on the patch now, it will submit. It will reset it. Now let us say now I'm having one employee details. I want to submit one more employee details. Employee is equals to 102. Let me keep the employee name as Smith. Employee name as Smith. Next, employee mobile number. Let me pass some dummy mobile number or some random mobile number. Email ID smith@gmail.com. Next, joining date. Let us select any one of the joining date. Next, course. Let us take Power BI. Trainer is Sunil. In progress. It's not displaying. Let me select the trainer as Sunil. Course as Power BI. Now click on patch. Now see, once if I submit, all the values are resetted. Now if you go and check the data, if you go and refresh the list, now one more record is submitted. Now if you want to submit one more record, go and use it. Employee is equals to 103. Name is equals to Scott. Name is equals to Scott. Mobile number, pass some random mobile number. Next, email ID scott@gmail.com. Whatever the mail it is, guys. Next, joining date. Let us select any one of the joining date. Course he is taking is SQL Server. Trainer is Venki. Status is in progress. Go and patch it. Now see, one more record is submitted. If you go and refresh, employee ID 103 is submitted. Like this, you can go and create a form like structure. Now see, it is one form like structure. Here I'm designing one like a form. You can go and design by your own. Whatever the design you want to keep, you can keep your own design. Now I'm having some data in the where in the SharePoint list. This is the syntax by using how to submit the data, how to create a new record into the data source using the patch function means this is a scenario. And next my requirement here is whatever the data I submitted to the data source, this data I want to display in the Power Apps with the help of one gallery, guys. So what I will do here is I'm going to add one gallery here, vertical gallery. I'm going to add a gallery here. Let me change the layout to title, subtitle and body. Title, subtitle and body. Let me select the data source. What is my data source? Is students is my data source. Select this first one. I'm keeping here student ID. Let me increase some size, 18, 16. Keep it in the bold. Warner. Let me increase some size, semi bold, or keep it in the bold itself. Here, let me go and keep the course, which course he is taking. Courses dot value. Now see, I'm able to display the course here. Let me increase some size, 14. Let me increase it to 16, name. Let me increase it to 18, value. Now see here guys. Now I'm able to display that data in the gallery. Now give some border to the gallery just to identify. Let me give some border to this gallery. Now I'm keeping some border to the gallery. Next, what's my requirement here is whatever the newly submitted record, that record I want to display on the top of that gallery. Guys, how to display the newly submitted record on the top of the gallery? Already we discussed this scenario. Go to the items property of the gallery. Go to the items property. Here I'm going to use the function sort function. Sort. I want to sort the data in which list? Students list. Now keep comma. I'm going to use one function here called modified. Last modified. Modified. Recently, whatever the record we modified, that record I want display on the top. So I'm going to select the order type as descending order. Already we discussed this scenario. Now see, whatever the record I submitted recently or modified recently, that record I'm able to display on the top. What is the last record I submitted? 103 Scott employee details. And also see here, on select of this any one of the gallery, on select of, see whenever I select this, I'm not able to identify which item I am selecting in the gallery. On select of the gallery, I want to keep one color. So what can we do? How to keep the color, hover color, on select color? Already we discussed this scenario. Select the gallery, go to the template fill, go to the template fill. In this, I'm going to use one if condition, guys. If this item dot is selected, whatever the value, whatever the item you are going to select, this item dot is selected, then I want to keep the color as color dot alias blue, and then otherwise I want to keep the same color. Now see, if I go and run the app, which item I am selecting, I'm highlighting that item, guys. If I select Smith, it is highlighting. So like this, if you want to highlight which item you are selecting in the gallery, you can go and use the template fill option. Already we discussed this scenario. Next, my requirement here is, first we understand 2 points here, guys. First one is how to submit the data to the data sources using patch, and then how to display that data here in the gallery. Whatever the record is submitted, let us say if I submit one new employee details, employee is equals to 104, employee name is equals to Finch, employee name is equals to Finch. Let me keep some random mobile number. Next, email ID finch@gmail.com. Next, joining date. Let us take any one of the joining date. Course, which course he is taking. Let me select the Power Automate, Trainer Winky, status, not started. Now go and patch it. Click on patch. That data is going to be submitted to the data source, and automatically I'm able to see the data on the top of the gallery. Fine. Now try to understand. Now my requirement here is whatever the item I am selecting in the gallery. Let's say if I select the first item in the gallery, that item details I want to display in this controls. Whatever the item I select in the gallery, that item values I want to display in this controls. How you are going to select the gallery? See, in the gallery, we discussed about how when I click on this button will navigate to which form? Edit form. We are making edit form. If you want to edit the data, you can go and click on what? Edit form. Whenever I click on this button, it will navigate to the edit form. But here it is not a form, these are controls. So whatever the item I am selecting in the gallery, that item details I want to display in these controls. How to do that? How to display the values that are selected in the gallery in these controls. So for this the next requirement is third requirement, how to display the items that is selected in the gallery in the controls. This is my third requirement. Select the gallery will have one property called on select property. Gallery will have a property called on select property. Currently it is false. Now here what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create one variable, guys. Set, what is the variable name is, the variable name is where students, where student is the variable name. Now in this variable, what data I want to store means, what data I want to store in this variable is whatever the item I'm going to select in the gallery, that item details I want to store it in this variable. Whatever the item I'm going to select in the gallery, that item details I want to store it in this variable. So what I will do here, in this variable, declare set variable where students is the variable name. Next keep command this item, let me keep it this item. Now see, currently this variable is holding any value means no, currently this variable is not holding any value. When I go and play the app, when I select any one of the record here in the item that is in the gallery, let's say I'm selecting on the Scott. Now if you go and see that variable, if you go to that variable, now that variable is holding which values? Scott employee values. If I go and select the Smith employee details, now that variable will hold which values? That variable is going to hold the Smith employee details. See, it is holding all the details of the Smith employee. So what I'm doing here is, in order to go and display whatever the item I'm selecting in the gallery, that item values I want to display in this controls. For this first step I'm doing here is on gallery, on select property, I'm declaring one variable. Into that variable, I'm going to use one function called this item. That means whatever the item you are going to select in the gallery, that item details are going to store it in one variable. Next, once after declaring the variable, once after storing the selected item details in that variable, now go to the controls case. Go to the student ID control. Now this control will have one property. What is that property? Is default property. Go to the default property. By default, it is not having any data. Now just remove it. Just remove it. Remove these double quotes. Now use that variable name. What is the variable name? Where student. Where student. This variable is holding what? Whatever the item I am going to select in the gallery, that item details is storing in this variable. Now from this variable, it is holding multiple values. From this variable, I am going to select what means I am going to select the student ID. Now see, automatically I am able to display the student ID. In the same way, go to the student name. Select the student name. Go to the default property. Go to the default property, and then keep here where student dot s name. Yes, name. This variable is having one item, one value. What is that value? Student name. That student name I want to display here. Next, go to the mobile. Go to the default property, mobile default property. Here also go and use that variable name where student dot mobile. Where student dot mobile. Now see, automatically that mobile is displayed. Currently which student I am selecting here? Smith. So it is displaying the Smith. Now go to the email. Go to the default property where student dot email. Now see, automatically is displaying the email. Here go to this joining date. Go to the default property. This one we don't have the default property. Just 1 second. Let me go to the default date, remove it. Now go and use the where students dot, what I want to select, joining date. Now see, automatically that date is displayed here. Now go to the course. Now go to the default property. Go to the defaults. Currently it is 1. Now remove it. Now go and use this variable name var students dot courses. Courses is what column? Choice column. So go and use values. In the same way, go to the trainer, go to the default property, remove it, use this variable name var student dot trainer. It is a choice column. Go and use the value function. Next, go to the status, go to the default property. Next, let me keep here var student. This variable is holding one value, one of the value it is holding. What is that value? Status. It is holding the status dot value. It is a choice column, so I'm going to pass dot values. Now see, now when I go and play the app, now currently I'm selecting the Smith employee details. It is displaying all the details of the Smith. If I select the Finch, now see, it is displaying all the details of the Finch. When I select the Scott, now see, it is displaying the Scott complete details here. Now when I click on this Warner, it will display all the details of the selected item in the gallery in this controls. So the third step, what I'm doing here, which item I'm selecting in the gallery, that item details I'm displaying in this controls. If I select the Finch, it is displaying the Finch employee details. So like this, whatever the item you are selecting in the gallery, that item details we're able to display it in the controls. Now see here guys, when I select this, okay, it is displaying the data. Now my requirement is I want to insert the new record. How to insert? I'm not able to go and remove it, go and remove it, go and remove it, right? I'm not able to do these things. So what I will do here is I will create a button here. I will create a button here. What button I will keep here is plus icon. I will create one plus icon which is used to create the new record. So go and add one new control, that is insert control. There is no insert. Let me use the plus. Go to the items, not items, icons, add button. Let me add the add button here. Go and keep that button on anywhere on the top. Let me change the color to white and just increase some size. Now see here guys, on select of this icon, I want to reset this controls. I want to reset this controls. Now how to reset? Just go to this icon, go to this icon, on select property. Now currently this controls is displaying the value, whatever the value I'm selecting in this gallery. This item, whatever the item I'm selecting in the gallery, this item details, where I'm storing first of all, in one variable. What's that variable? Var student. So go and make this variable as blank. Then automatically we are not able to see any data here. So what I will do, set on this on select of this icon, set var student, set var student to blank. I'm going to set it to blank. If I set it to blank, then this variable doesn't hold any value. If the variable doesn't hold any value, this control is not able to show any data. Now see, when I go and click on this plus icon, now that variable is blank, var student variable is blank. If it is blank, it is not displaying any data. When I select any one of this control again, now it will display the data here. It will display the data here. Now when I click on the plus icon, what the plus icon is doing? This plus icon, that is add icon, on select of this icon, what I'm doing here guys, var student, there is one variable we declare, right? That variable I'm making it as a blank value. So when I go and play it, select, that variable is blank. If the variable is blank, then these controls are not able to show any data. So when select on this gallery, displays the data, click on it, reset the all the controls. Now you can go and insert employee is equals to 104. Already 104 is the right, 105. Name is equals to Stark. Name equals to Stark. Mobile number, some random mobile number. Email ID, stark@gmail.com. Joining date, let's select any joining date. Course, power apps, trainer, Venki, status, in progress. Now go and use the patch function. Once if I click on the patch, now it is going to do what? It is going to submit the data to what? Data source. Now see, the new record is submitted. What's the new record? Employee is equals to 105. Once the record is submitted, I'm able to show these values as resetted all the values. Once if I click on any item in the gallery, that item details I'm able to display in the form. Now here guys, now my requirement here is still now we discussed about how to create a record, how to create a record in the data source, how to create a record in the data source by using the patch function. Once if you submit the data to the data sources, how to display that data in the gallery we discussed. Once after displaying the data in the gallery, whenever I select any item in the gallery, that item details how to display it in the controls we discussed. Now my requirement here is I want to update the data in the data sources by using the patch function. Next my requirement here is I want to update the data in the data source by using the patch function. Update the records, update the existing records using patch function. Now how to update the existing records using patch function? How to update it? Let us say if I'm going to this, if I go to this button or if I go to this app, let us say I want to update Warner employee, is there, right? Or let us say Smith employee. I'm selecting the Smith employee. This employee details I'm able to display in this controls. Now this employee course is what? Power BI. The status is what? In progress. Now I want to change it to completed. I want to change it to completed. Now try to understand guys. I'm going to change the status to completed, and then going on click on the patch function. When I click on the patch function, what it need to do? In the data source, Smith employee course, it is Power BI. Currently the status is what? In progress. It need to update it to completed. Now before that, keep in mind how many rows is there? Totally there are 5 rows is there in this list. Now when I go and click on this button, once if I select the status as completed, when I click on the patch button, now what is happening? It is throwing an error. It is throwing an error. Why? Because it is not going to update the data guys. It is not going to update the data. By default, here it is, what it is doing here is, if you go to this patch function, by default, what the patch function is doing? Defaults is nothing but what? It is going to create a new record in the data source. I said that if you are using the default function is used for what? To create a new record in the data source. Now whatever the records, once if I go and change the status here, once if I go and change the status, let me go and select the Smith employee. Where is the Smith employee? Here it is. Now I want to change it to completed. Once if I change the status, when I click on this patch button, it need to update. But here by default, what it is doing? By default is submitting, creating the new record. Now I want to check whether I am creating a new record or whether I am updating the existing record. So in order to go and check this, in the records property, once after passing the list name, I'm going to use one function here guys, or I'm going to use one condition, if condition. If is blank, what it is blank? I'm going to use one function, is blank function. What is blank? Where student. We declared one variable, right? Where student. If this variable is blank, if this variable is not holding any value, if this variable is blank, then if the variable is blank, I want to create a new record, default. Otherwise, if this variable is not blank, if the variable is blank, I want to create a new record. If the variable is not blank means, that means I'm selecting, this variable is holding some value. That is nothing but I'm selecting one item in the gallery. So if the variable is not blank, let me go to the patch. If the variable is not blank, then keep comma. I'm going to keep it as where student. Where student. Now keep comma. Somehow it is throwing the error. Everything is fine. What I'm doing here is try to understand guys. If the variable is blank, blank means we are not updating any record. So go and create a new record. If this variable is holding some value, whatever the variable is holding the values, that value go and modify it. I think everything is fine. Why it is throwing this error? Let me go and check here. Go to the app checker. Okay, not a matter. Just to save the app. Sometimes it will throw this type of errors. Don't worry. Save the app, publish the app, and refresh the app again. Just refresh it. Refresh the web page. Fine. Now it is not throwing any error. Now see here, guys. On select of this button, what I'm doing, I'm adding one just if condition. If variable, when this variable is holding some value, whenever you are selecting any item in the gallery, in this situation, this variable is not blank. When the variable is not blank means, if you are selecting any item in the gallery, then this variable is not blank. It is holding some value. If it is holding some value, then whatever the values it will be there, go and update that records. Otherwise, if the variable is blank, when the variable is blank, you are not selecting anything in the gallery, then this variable is blank, then go and create a new record. Now see, go and play the app. Now currently I'm not selecting any item. If I select any item, I'm able to display it here. Now I'm in creating a new record. Employee is equals to 106. Let us say name is equals to ABD. Mobile number, just pass some random mobile number. Email ID, abd@gmail.com. Next, joining date. Let us select any one of the joining date. Course he is taking is SQL Server. Trainer is Venki. And status is in progress. Now go and click on patch. Now see, it is currently that variable is not holding any value, and this patch function is going to create a record. Now see, automatically that record is created. The new record is what? 106 ABD. Now see, I want to modify, guess what I want to modify? Smith employee course status I want to modify. Select the Smith employee. Smith employee details I'm able to display here. Now go and select the course and change it to completed. Status to completed. Select the course status, change it to completed. Now go and click on the patch. Now when I click on the patch, now it is updated. Now if you go to the Smith employee details, if you select the Smith employee details, if you go and check, still it is. Let me go and refresh. Now see, it is changed. Previously it is in progress. Now it is completed. Now let me do one thing. Let me add one more control to this gallery. Let me add one more control to the gallery. One of the text label. In this, I want to show the status. Status dot value. Now see, it will display the status also. Now you'll get some clear idea. Now try to understand, guys. There is one more employee is there. Let us say ABD is there. I'm selecting the ABD. I'm selecting the ABD employee details. Now he is taking the course as what? SQL Server. What is the status? In progress. Now I want to change it to completed. I want to update. So go to the status, change it to completed, and go and click on the patch. Now see, when I click on the patch, now it is updating the data. Now see, ABD, previously it is what? In progress, now it is completed. So like this, you can go and update the record using patch function, guys. Now see, if you try to understand here, I am updating only one record at a time now. Any one record I'm able to update. Let us say Stark employee is there, Power Apps, in progress, not started. Still it is not started. I want to keep it as in progress. Go and click on the patch. Now it is updated. Stark employee, it is changed to in progress. Now at that time, now I'm able to update only one employee details. But now how to update multiple employee details? Let us say I want to update this Stark employee and also the Finch employee status to stopped. Somewhere some problems, in between some problems, they stopped the course. Now I want to update these two employee details in one go. I don't want to go and select the Stark first. I don't want to go and change it to stopped. I don't want to go to the Finch. I don't want to select it to stop. I want to change these two employee details status from here it is in progress, here it is not started. I want to change it to stopped. Somewhere in between they stopped the course. They are not continuing. So I want to change it. Now how to update the multiple records by using the patch function? I said that by default with the help of patch function, how many records you can create and how many records you can modify. By default using patch function you can create or modify only one single record. Here we discussed in today's session how to create a record to the data source. Here you can create only single record, no doubt, but how to update the multiple records here, how to update the multiple records in one go. So I'll discuss how to update the multiple records in one go in the tomorrow's class. In the tomorrow's class we'll be discussing about how to update the multiple records with the help of patch function. Here also with the currently with the help of patch function by default we can update only one employee details or one student details, but I want to update multiple student details in one go. With the help of forms also, we discussed about the forms. With the help of forms also we can update the status by using what form? Edit form. If you make the form as edit form, you can update how many employee details. By using the edit form you can update only one single employee details at a time, but here by using this patch I can update a single employee, single student details, or I can update the multiple student details also. How to update the multiple student details at a time? I'll be discussing in tomorrow's class. Not only update, we can delete the data also. How to delete the multiple records? How to delete the multiple records with the help of patch function, and how to update the multiple records using patch function. I will discuss it in the tomorrow's class. Along with this, update and delete, how to update multiple records and how to update multiple how to delete the multiple records. Along with this, in the tomorrow's class I'm going to create one more control here. I want to filter the data here. Whatever, I'm going to keep some controls here. Whenever I select any one of the items, automatically the data in the galleries need to filter. How to filter the data in the galleries? Already we discussed by using what? Drop down. With the help of drop down we discussed about how to filter the data in the gallery, but in the tomorrow's class I will discuss about by using the text control how to filter the data in the gallery. So two concepts we'll discuss. One is how to update or delete multiple records using patch, and also how to filter the data in the gallery with the help of some text controls. These 2 points will be covered in next class. Fine, let me stop here now. Now go with the questions.